Hello, hello, hello. My beautiful, lovely wife. How are you? Nope,
Hello.
nope. Stop it. Stop it.
I was trying to do something like different.
Nah,
I'm
well,
different. I'm
you are
different.
different. You are different. I will give you that.
I see the pool
And to
out
all
there and
you,
it's just looking so super, super nice, by the way.
yeah, it's a little colder than you think. But yeah, to all you beautiful lifers out there, welcome to the Life Unfiltered Podcast Show. LUPS. Let's go.
I really hate that, by the way.
Well,
I'm
that's
just
too
gonna
bad
keep
because
saying it because I don't like it at
it's
all.
it's stuck. Maybe that can be our thing. I call it the LUPS, and you say I hate it, and like that's our shtick.
That's a thing that I don't want to be our thing. So,
Well, it's too bad.
I mean, if you
We
want
don't
to keep
always get to
starting
pick our
these off with
things.
me being cranky, then keep using that stupid acronym.
Okie dokie.
Okay,
I will.
great.
How you been?
Did you want to introduce the show?
Well, I did, and then you got me thrown
No,
off
you
on a
didn't
tangent.
really.
I'm Justin DeWeese. That's my beautiful and obviously cranky wife, Ashley DeWeese, doing her hand spoons again. Welcome to the Life Unfiltered Podcast Show. Do 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 do.
And if you're still listening at this point, thank you. You are truly a lifer because I wouldn't
Well, we
blame
can't
you
make
if
it
you were
easy for
like,
him every
stop,
time.
not listening to this one. I can listen to my own spouse and myself argue and bicker. It is
No,
more
this isn't
fun.
arguing,
It is
bickering.
a
This
little
is
bit more fun
playing.
when you can listen to other people banter. I think there's
Right,
a
we're batting
difference though
around a
between
yard ball.
man, we are like totally talking over each other today. This is about to be one whiz bang of an episode. I myself cannot wait to
It
continue.
might be. You never know. This might be the best.
It could be. It could be.
But anyway, last week we celebrated this guy's birthday,
We did. You turned the big 4-9.
4-9,
Don't
and
look a day
feeling
over
fine.
don't look a day over 21.
That's the point.
Is the
That's why I
point.
go to the gym every day to stay young and toit. No?
With your vocabulary and your slang too. No. So,
What can I say? I'm the Skibbity Rizzler.
seriously, I am about to walk off of this episode. Truly.
That's
So,
right.
could we
I'll
get
do it solo.
mm, there's days that I regret putting you in charge of like the host seat.
Nah, those are probably our top rated episodes.
Perhaps. So, let's move this along. What would you like to talk about first?
Well, I figured we could, because to your point, I am 49 and looking like I'm in my 20s, like I'm just carved from oak, young and supple and sinewy and moving like water. And, some people are like, how do you do it? Like, you should be feeling like crap every day. And I feel like crap every day. Why don't you feel like crap every day? And it's pretty simple. You and I have chosen to apply some disciplines to our life
Yep.
on a regular basis.
I thought we were going to talk about your birthday. Like you said,
Well,
we're going to talk about your birthday.
well, we were going to talk about, I'm talking about my birthday.
Okay. I thought we were going to talk about your birthday, not something just connected to the fact that you just had a birthday.
Okay. Well,
So
we can
just let me know which way we're going.
rewind.
Oh,
No, it was a
we
good day.
promised, we promised to bring you life unfiltered, you guys. And this is truly
This is what happens.
what happens.
So it was a good day. We got to go to church, got to spend some time together as a family,
He asked
got
for no
to,
gifts, by the way. He asked for no gifts, by the way. He didn't want to do anything specific, by the way, which is a little challenging because when your spouse has different desires than you might have on your birthday, it can make it challenging because it's their birthday, but you don't understand it.
right. But that's how it should be, right? Like, you know, you don't want to like do all the things you want to do
No, I
on my
understand.
birthday.
That's what I'm saying. That's why it's a growing experience because of what I just said.
And I was all hyped because one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to watch a movie together as a family, and I was going to throw it back to a classic of my choosing, which I'm going to keep right in the vest pocket, not even let y'all know what it was. Because we get done with dinner, I'm doing some dishes, loading up the dishwasher, turn on the sink, reposition a little sprayer thing, because we got one of those fancy sinks that comes out and you can spray it everywhere. And I go to move it, snaps clean off in my hand. Water goes shooting across the kitchen.
It was honestly like a Las Vegas fountain. And I laughed. One,
Oh
because
yeah,
I was like,
my
I
beautiful
was
wife was like,
sitting at the table. Well, I was sitting at the table. Obviously, it was unexpected, and it shot through literally like it was total like a cylinder of water, and it went whoop like that. And I laughed because, like I said, one, it literally looked like a Las Vegas fountain had just went off, and two, I thought like I don't know, I thought something had slipped, his hand had slipped, whatever. I didn't realize like the whole freaking thing broke. So I apologize
so
for laughing at an inappropriate
no, it's all
time.
right. It's one of those situations you laugh at, right? Like somebody falls over and you laugh, and then you have that thought like, oh crap, they might be hurt. I should probably stop laughing.
Right. Right. So
But
you
yeah,
ended up
so
fixing the sink.
I learned how to replace a kitchen faucet on my 49th birthday, which just goes to show you're never too old to learn new things,
That is true.
ever. And that was an adventure. They don't make those things easy. I mean, it's quasi easy, but everything's all in one place, and you gotta like undangle the dangles.
Yeah.
It's a whole
Well,
thing. I should have videoed the whole thing.
no, I don't know about that, but I'm glad it was you and not me. So, anyways, we
Anyways,
were talking recently, you know, w- we have lots of conversations about lots of different things. Justin is an avid reader. I would call myself an avid reader, but I certainly don't read at the levels that he does, which again doesn't lessen the amount that I read. But we both like
no,
to read.
you're an avid reader.
We both well, thanks that I've
I'll give
made
you
the
that.
club.
You
We
have.
both like to read a lot of personal growth material, listen to podcasts, all that jazz. And so, of course, since we're both doing such things, we also enjoy discussing the things that we're learning and hearing and listening to. And on top of that, we then, both are very present on social media. And when you're on social media, of course, you can curate your own feed, but you kind of take in different things that are going on in the world. So we do have our finger on the pulse of kind of what's happening in regard specifically to like the health and fitness. Like what are people's thoughts? What are the trends? Like what are people needing help with? What are the stories that they're telling themselves that are holding them back? All of those types of things. And one of the things that it keeps popping up, and so I said, hey, maybe we should talk about this today, is this idea that freedom equates to freedom. And again, today's episode, we're specifically talking about your wellness, right? Like physical mental wellness. If you're someone that is working to lose weight or change your body aesthetics, all that jazz. I've said that like 3 times. I'm sorry, but no other phrase is coming to my mind.
That's okay. We like
But
jazz.
there's just a lot of, I know, in working with clients or potential clients, things that pop up. People don't want to feel restricted. That's a word that gets tossed around a lot, like restriction,
Right.
which I believe is due to many, many years of the idea of dieting, right? I don't know truly like what your past life experience was growing up with dieting. For me, my mom was always on some sort of diet, I think. My dad, in a way, at least in the second half of his years, was just trying to lose weight. Like they wanted to lose weight, they wanted to look better. And so often they were trying whatever like the next diet was. And it
Right.
definitely was a mindset of, I'm going to follow this protocol in order to lose the weight that I want to lose. There wasn't any greater vision, at least in my memory. We all have revisionist history, but like there wasn't any sort of like oh, I'm doing this because I want to eat this way forever or train this way forever. I'm doing this because I want to completely shift how I'm living life. It literally was, I'm doing this program, plan, protocol in order to lose this weight, and then
Right.
I'll just do my thing. So a lot of what's that is referred to today is diet mentality.
Right. And there was definitely some of that. The only one I really remember, and I'm sure there were others that I just didn't bother or didn't want to pay attention to, was mom did the old cabbage soup diet.
Yeah, me too. I was like in
Remember that
seventh
one?
grade. I did it with my mom.
Oh, made the house smell terrible.
Right. And that's all
But
you
yeah, I
ate.
mean that's one of the things, right? Like that sort of diet mentality is you eat this weird thing, cabbage soup, which is weird, by the way. If you're one of those weirdos that enjoys eating on a regular basis, my hat's off to you. I guess you probably fart a lot. I don't know, but that's one of those things. Like, oh, I'm going to do this for a little while, and I'm going to lose some weight, and then I can go back to doing whatever, right?
Right.
Because let's be honest, eating cabbage soup on a regular basis or a high frequency basis, like it is on that diet, like you can't do that forever.
Right. That's
Nobody
not going
would
to be.
want to do that forever,
I mean,
right?
maybe
And
you could. I don't know. I'm sure there's someone
oh,
out there. There's always an exception, but generally speaking, no.
my point is that like that those sort of things, the grapefruit diet and the cabbage soup diet and the whatever's
The grapefruit diet, I think I tried that with my parents too.
that's what contributes to this idea of like the diet mentality, the diet culture, right? Because it is just like the short term thing, and it's weird and it's off the wall, but it's not
Right.
about changing your actual habits that got you to a place where you needed to do a cabbage soup diet.
Right. And I think that for you and I mean, obviously you just turned 49, I'm 45. We grew up with our parents, like that's what they knew, right? And then so then there's us who had a little bit like that conditioning, but now we're in this new era of learning that there are more sustainable and quote
Right,
unquote enjoyable ways to shift your health, not only to lose weight or change your physical aesthetics, but to have a healthy standard for your life. And so we're kind of in between. And so I know, like I said, the a lot of the women that I talk to, you can definitely tell that they've had some experience in their life where it was like, I just need to lose weight. I'm going to do this plan until I make that happen. But yet there are also many of them, they recognize, hey, I don't just want to do that. Like I want to lose this weight, but I want to keep it off and I want to live and make healthier choices for the long term. But
right.
then there's kind of this internal conflict. And I had a client on a call, on our group coaching call, in my Embrace the Crown community last week, where she said, I'm kind of a little bit confused because I feel like, I know I want this to be long-term healthy lifestyle, but yet I am following a plan. I am, weighing myself and collecting that data as well as other data. So isn't that still like diet mentality because I'm doing this to lose the weight? And all of that, to circle back to that, just kind of all was put out there to lay the foundations for you listeners of this idea of or story that people tell themselves that freedom equals freedom. There are many people who believe that I want to make healthier choices, but I want to have complete freedom in doing so. I don't want to be told what I can eat, what I can't eat. Um, I just want to be able to make the choices for myself that I want to make and also lose weight, have the scale say I want it to, look the way I want it to. I want freedom. And so they go in search of programs that will allow them to have freedom. One of the popular things that's out there, and before I open my mouth about it, I'll just see, because we haven't really talked a lot about this particular um philosophy, I guess, and that is intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is something that I hear pop up a lot with women. I eat intuitively, or here's a program where I'm going to teach you how to eat intuitively, which basically means listening to your body, listening
Sure.
to yourself, and eating based off of that. And you don't have to track anything, and you don't have to count calories or macros or anything like that. You just go off of what your body says and what it feels like, and you will be able to get the result that you want. What are your thoughts on this current concept of intuitive eating and that leading to freedom for people?
Well, I think it's amazing, right? Like, I mean, of course, like we should listen to our bodies and know, like, oh, I need some protein for lunch, or I really need some lettuce in my life, whatnot, right? The problem is our intuition in that sense is broke,
Right.
right? Our brains have been so, and our guts have been so misled and rewired that, like, listen, Ashley and I have been on this journey together for quite a while.
10 plus years.
If you've listened to the podcast, you've heard plenty of the stories. Even now, though, to intuitively listen to my body and what I need, like, I need some pepperoni pizza for lunch, and that ain't it, right? Like, the problem is, especially if you're starting out, like, you don't intuitively know
Right.
what your body needs.
And that's what I was hoping that you'd get to is
Oh, we're on the
I
same
don't
page, beautiful.
I don't believe that intuitively eating the idea of it is a terrible thing. I believe that
Right,
you can develop the intuition to eat in a way that allows you to sustain a healthy lifestyle, that allows you to maintain your current
right,
physique or even change it. But I also believe that before you can do that, you have a lot of learning to do, which is why we don't really subscribe to the idea of freedom equals freedom, because we're human. And
right.
if left to our own devices, we're not always going to make the best choice. We're going to
Listen,
make
there are times
choices.
there's times in the past where I drink a 20-ounce Mountain Dew because it's got vitamin C in it. It'll help me get over this cold.
Well,
That's intuitive,
we're
baby.
going to typically make choices that make us feel comfortable, right?
Right,
And
in the
so
moment.
in the moment. And so we're going to be making choices a lot of times based on our feelings and not necessarily what needs to be done. In addition, as you said, if you're someone who doesn't have much experience in this department, you what are you basing your intuitiveness
Right,
off of?
right,
Like, so that's why, like, we aren't subscribers to the idea that freedom equals freedom. To me, like, freedom, and you just think of like a toddler, right? Like, what's it like when your kids are toddlers and even teens, like, and there's no rules? What were you like if you went to college, for example? What happened when I was so excited to get to college because my parents weren't there. So I was self-governing. But guess what? Freedom isn't always all it's cracked up to be if you don't have any sort of
right,
structure to it. And you can see that in your kids. Again, kids that don't have rules, it is craziness. And a lot of kids, via research, have told people that they actually crave that structure, right? They don't enjoy not. And
right,
our kids, we can speak from experience with our kids. Our kids are absolutely that way. They'll certainly give us resistance, but when push comes to shove, they absolutely like having some guidelines and structures to help them make decisions that do actually make them feel good, that do actually give them good experiences. And so the same thing applies when it comes to your health and fitness. So we're not subscribers of freedom equaling freedom, but rather discipline equals freedom.
right. Having those guardrails and rules and structure in your life, that will actually lead to freedom.
And it's a reprogramming of the mind because
Right. Oh, it
it's,
has to be.
obviously we attach meanings to words. There's like the actual meaning of a word as far as definition, but then, and I don't know the right way to say this. I'm just going to say it the Ashley way. There's the actual meaning of a word, but then there's the meaning that we associate with words,
Right.
right? So there's discipline is one of those words that I believe gets a bad rap. Now, I don't know and I'm not going to take the time to look it up. I don't know what like the Webster's dictionary definition of discipline is.
I believe they changed it to just 2 words, Jocko Willink.
Yes, probably. You are right. There is a great book called Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. You all check it out. Okay, discipline. The practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience is what it said. But you could even leave that out. Like the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior.
I just
So
like to point out that you said, I'm not going to look this up, and then proceeded to
I
look
know.
it up.
I know.
Way to go.
I did not obey my own rules. So that's the definition, right? Just the practice of training people to obey certain rules, guidelines, code.
Yep.
But then there's the meaning that we attach to that, because that word in and of itself is not inherently like that's not a bad thing, right? Like rules aren't inherently bad. Following a code
Well,
is not inherently bad.
what was the last sentence of that definition that you said you can leave that out?
Using punishment to correct the disobedience.
That is what most people define discipline as. Punishment to
Yes.
correct.
Yes, that discipline is a punishment. Discipline
Right.
is a bad thing. Discipline is restrictive. Like I said, that's the word that pops up the most. You can tell by the way I say it that I'm like nails on a chalkboard when people say it. But restriction is often associated with discipline. Tough, hard, rigid is often associated with discipline. If you put the word discipline, this is just my Ashley research. If I would go out and just say, hey, I'm going to say a word and I just want you to tell me positive or negative. What do you associate? I would venture to say that there would be a higher percentage of people who would associate negativity with discipline as opposed to positivity.
I would agree with that completely.
And of course, that's all based on our own personal experiences. But that being said, there is this story that a lot of women and men tell themselves about discipline, that if you are disciplined, that is hard and that is no fun and nobody wants to do that.
Right. Because it's punishment.
Because it's punishment. The truth of the matter is that having a set of rules or standards, guidelines, a code helps tell you what you need to do in order to get the outcome that you want. Right?
Right.
That's true. I don't know who's fact checking me here, but to me, having a set of guidelines is so that I don't hurt myself. It's so I get to where I want to go. It's so I do something in a efficient way, right? It's all of those things. And so when it comes to nutrition and fitness, discipline is something a lot of people buck, but discipline is actually what gives you the freedom. And I try to share this about my own story is that, in order for me to have some of the food flexibility that I have now, that everybody wants, I first had to have a high sense of discipline. And I don't know what other word would you use other than restriction, but limited, right? Like there was a different set of rules originally with not a lot of flexibility, so that I could develop the habits, so that I could create momentum, so that I could get results, right? And
Right.
learn and grow in the process, which then ultimately has provided me with more freedom.
Right. Because again, going back to your example of toddlers and kids, right? Surprise, surprise, we're all just grown up toddlers and kids. And so, as much as they crave discipline and guardrails and structure, we do too. We just grow up and think, oh, I don't need any of that anymore. But
Mhm.
realistically, your brain like really wants some structure and rules put in place because it makes things so much easier. Take for example, like if you go to a restaurant and they hand you one sheet of paper and it's got four items on it, like you're going to make a choice super easy to pick out which one was one. You
Mhm.
go to Cheesecake Factory and open up their mini
It's like
novella.
the most overwhelming restaurant, and we haven't been there in years, but like it's literally, I love and hate that restaurant because I'm like, I love that there's this many options, but I also hate it. I don't need this many options.
Right, because our brain like doesn't want
It's
that many
overload.
options.
Right.
Right. So you go to Cheesecake Factory and you thumb through the 30 pages and you can't figure out what you want to eat and it takes forever. But you go to the restaurant that just has the one sheet of paper with four choices, bang, that's the one I want.
Right.
And that's the way, if you can take that idea and move that into the rest of your life, you'll realize that, oh, this isn't like restrictive in a bad way, but I'm eliminating a bunch of options to keep me focused and remove distraction.
Right. And I also believe that, in times of extreme discipline, it gives you it gives you an opportunity, and we talked about this in a previous episode. It gives you the opportunity to really understand and experience what else is possible. Because, I mean, if you're just total freedom, making whatever choices whenever you want, wherever you want, etc., you don't really know what the opposite would be like, right?
Right.
Like you don't know what the opposite would be like. And again, if you have just, I mean, and really even with discipline, like you're still making that choice, like you're still in charge. But if you just are like, I just want complete freedom, do whatever I want when I want, then it's like a roller coaster, right? There's no constant, right? It's just up and down and up and down, and weight is up and down and up and up and up. And I feel like shit. And I feel, all of those things. Whereas when you have developed discipline in your life, you get to experience, well, what does that provide for me? Because something else that I would challenge you listeners to take a pause and think about for yourself is what does freedom really look and feel like? Because I would argue that having complete food freedom in the way that many women, men probably too, define it. And I'm talking mostly men and women who are not in the
Right.
greatest health or shape. Um, they're looking at just being able to eat and drink whatever they want as freedom. But what they're ignoring is the freedom that actually takes away from them. So is
Right.
it really freedom? Like, yes, you have freedom of choice that if you're like, oh, I have complete, food and beverage freedom. I can go drink as much as I want on the weekends. I can choose the greasy ass pizza every night of the week if I wanted, or just all of that. Okay, cool. You have that freedom to eat and drink whatever you want, but at what cost? Because then you're losing your freedom to have the utmost clarity in your life. You're losing the freedom to potentially participate in certain like physical activities or experiences with your family and friends because those choices are ultimately limiting you in your own
Right.
mind and body. So is that really freedom? Whereas my definition of freedom is, of course, having the ability to choose, but I want to choose things that are going to literally open the doors to there's literally nothing I can or can't do because of it. But to
Right.
me, in order to have that kind of freedom, I have to have some sort of discipline, structure, guidelines, rules to ensure that those are the kind of outcomes that I get.
Well, and I think you like subtly touched on the root of it a little bit ago, and because you keep talking about the choices I make, right? And so if we can find the discipline for ourselves to make the right choices and to have the rules and the standards and whatnot, like it's going that will change the way you look at the word discipline, right? Because right now, a lot of us are looking at discipline because it's something that has forever been externally applied to us.
Right.
Teachers, parents, society, your employer, whatever, right? That's where discipline comes from now. So of course it's a negative thing because we're all designed and created to be sovereign individuals.
Right. We don't want to be controlled.
Right. And so when other people apply that discipline to us, of course it's negative. It can't not be.
Right.
Just based off how we're designed. But if we can find a way to discipline ourselves, then yeah, that leads to all those freedoms and more that you just described.
It's a change of viewpoint, right? It's looking
Right.
at discipline. It's looking at following a specific protocol or guideline, standard, structure, or code. Looking at that as this is for me. This is
Right.
for me. And I'm making the decision to utilize this structure because I recognize that this structure is going to help me look, feel, and live the way I truly want to look, feel, and live my best. And so, yes, I'm choosing to follow this structure that guides my choices towards more healthy foods and beverages because I want to feel, look, and live my best. And so I'm making that choice. Someone else isn't, I mean, someone else might be, as a coach, like I obviously share a protocol with my clients and I'm like, hey, this is a blueprint that if you utilize this blueprint, here's the outcomes you can expect, and here's the positive consequences you can expect of that. Ultimately, though, they get to decide. And that's where people sometimes get tripped up is because they're like, oh, well, I'm following this because she or he told
Right.
me to follow this to get what I want. And many of those people then struggle because they're still in that space that you're talking about where they're
That
doing
external
something.
discipline. Right.
Right. It's the external. But when you can step into this and say, yeah, like I may have a coach or a mentor who is providing me with these tools, who's providing me with the guidelines, the structure, the code, but I'm choosing to implement this, to learn this, to follow it because I want X, Y, and Z outcome. And I
Right.
believe that these actions and this process will help me to obtain that. It's a totally different mindset and a totally different experience when, like you said, you're stepping into the driver's seat and using discipline for you instead of believing that this structure, this discipline is being applied to you by this external force and you're having to do the things.
Right. See, you thought this episode was starting out as a complete dumpster fire, but we've literally just given people the master unlock.
We have.
So
I mean,
for all of you that braved the treacherous waters of that opening and you're still here, congratulations. You have been gifted.
and it's a really, I hate to like play into your ego here, but like
Nah, go for it.
it's no, it's that in and of itself is really a great example because like anything you're going to step into that you want to change in your life, like you're gonna have to go through some of that shitty beginning, right?
Right.
Are you
See,
willing? Are you
maybe I was doing it
willing?
on purpose. You ever think about that? No, you didn't, did you?
Are you willing to carry on, to keep going, to push through the discomfort, the challenge, the bad taste in your mouth? Are you willing to keep going when every ounce in your body of what you're doing is going, F this, I'm out?
Right.
And a lot of times people aren't. And they're the ones that continue
Right.
to stay on the hamster wheel, never getting to who they want to be and where they want to be. But those that are willing to like go through the mud, to drudge through the shit long enough to truly experience the freedom that discipline can provide. Those are the people that you can look around and they have the bodies that you want and they have the clarity of mind that you want and they have the kind of life and relationships that you want. So the big nug for today is freedom doesn't equal freedom. Discipline does.
Discipline equals freedom.
Boom.
Boom. Oh, look at us wrapping it up simultaneously. Man, what a
All right.
pair.
Again, we'd love to hear from you. drop us a comment, drop us a DM on Instagram. Let us know that you listened. Let us know what you took away from today's episode. We love hearing it. We love learning new ways to continue to serve you best in your growth journey. If you ever need anything from us, reach out. And like I said, if we can help you, we will. If we can't, then we certainly can connect you with someone
Point you in the right direction.
that can. But we appreciate you tuning in today, and we will see you next week.
Man, it took her forever to find that button. I thought it was going to be frozen forever. Like, comment, and share. Send this to all your friends. They need to know discipline equals freedom.